Sparka.com/marketing. Sparka.com/marketing. How to get to page 1 of Google via the front pages of influential blogs in your industry. Okay, so this particular YouTube video is going to not only explain how to get to page 1 of Google, but it'll, just through the explanation, it'll answer a very frequent question from our clients, and that's, how come after 20, 30 days, I don't see any results, I don't see any action, I don't see anything, I don't see what I've paid for. It depends on your industry, and the answer to that is really simple. If you want to get people to write about you, if you want to get people to blog about you, so that you end up on page 1 of Google, which is really the only way to end up on page 1 of Google. You could have a million irrelevant, low credibility websites linked to you. You'll just be categorized under spam as far as Google's concerned. So in order to get these guys to link to you, you have to, if you want to ask someone to do something, you have to be in a position to ask for it. Really that simple. You have to be in a position to ask for it. And I don't care if you're the industry leader, if you're the most brilliant person in your industry, even if you're the most successful and wealthy person in your industry, what makes you worth blogging about is the size of your Rolodex. That's it. Online, that's the only thing that counts. You could be the Nobel Prize winning someone, and if you don't have a Twitter account, if you don't have a Google Plus account, if you don't have a large email subscriber base, and you ask someone to do you a favor, they're going to think, well, what can you do for me? What, you're going to make a couple phone calls to people who also don't have any connections to the media now? What I need is media. What I need is to get out there. What I need to do is get 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 likes on Facebook. And if you can't help me do that, if you can get me a front page news article in the Wall Street Journal, which nobody reads anymore, or no, that's not necessarily true. I'm exaggerating. If you replayed this video in about 2 or 3 years, I'd be spot on. You see where I'm going with this? If you want to get to page 1 of Google, you've got to first, now here are the steps, you've got to first get people to blog about you. And they've got to be influential people. And what I mean by influential is they've got to be people that Google's already vetted. They've got to be people where other people in your industry have already blogged about them, linked to them, mentioned them in social media. That's what Google looks at. Google scans the entire social graph. They look for vital signs. It's like when you go to your doctor. The doctor checks blood pressure, blood glucose level. They check your pulse. They check all sorts of stuff. That's what Google does for your website. They have this litany of tests they do, and they say, okay, so this blog, yeah, it's in great shape, it's credible, it's highly reputable in this industry, and it's linking to your blog. So I'm going to make your blog also, or your website or your products also go rise in Google results. But in order for these credible guys to link to you, like I said before, if you're going to ask for something, you have to be in a position to ask for something. You've got to give them something back. And the most valuable thing you can give someone, money maybe, maybe an introduction to their soulmate. A third on this list is a shout out in social media. If you contact somebody and say, okay, look, if you blog about me, I'll blog about you, and your blog has no readers, heck, if you don't even have a blog, how's that going to work? How's that of any value? How is that putting you in the position to be able to ask for a favor of media coverage? It doesn't. So here's the long answer, short answer to the long question. Why does it take so long for me to see any results? If the search engine optimization company, if the PR company, if the marketing company doesn't have any pre-existing experience working in your industry, they're not going to have a lot of contacts in your industry. So what they've got to do is they've got to build a Twitter account, they've got to build a Facebook account, they've got to, not so much Facebook really, unless you have a household domestic product. But if you're a professional, just worry about Twitter, worry about Quora, worry about Google+. They've got to build these accounts for you, and then they've got to build them up so that you've got much more of a contact base, much bigger, a much stronger following than the people that you're asking for favors from. That makes sense, right? If I'm going to ask you to write about me, and I say, hey, I'll write about you too, but I've got a smaller following than you do, if I've got less influence than you do, like, oh, you're not going to help me out. But if someone like, I don't know, the new Walter Cronkite, in social media, let's say they've got Ashton Kutcher. In Twitter, he's got what, 5 million, 20 million? What if someone like Ashton Kutcher said, hey, if you blog about me, I'll blast you out to my 5 million, 10 million subscribers in Twitter. Would you do it? Absolutely. You'd jump on it in a heartbeat. That's the level of clout that you've got to build up. And so that's what we literally spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks in the beginning of any project, if we don't already have a built following, doing for you. We end up building your social media clout. And here are the stats, since we're almost verging on 7 minutes. If you just randomly go out and ask a bunch of bloggers to link to you and write about you and to interview you and to expose you to their audience with nothing that you can offer in return. You don't have more than 1,000 Facebook likers, you don't have more than 400 Twitter followers, and you don't have more than 300 Google Plus followers. It'll take about 1,400 to 1,500 requests. You'll literally have to ask 1,400 to 1,500 people to write about you and tell them you'll write about them in return for you to get a yes. It's about a 1,500 to 1 ratio. That's absolutely ridiculous. And you don't even want that one person to write about you, because if they say yes to you and you've got nothing to offer in return, they've said yes to hundreds of other people who also have nothing else to return of value to them. And if no one's returning anything of value to them, what's Google going to think about their blog? It's worthless. So getting a link from a worthless blog is also worthless. So what you want is to be in a position where you can offer something of value to existing blogs with existing value, right? Now you do that, and if you've got 10,000, 20,000 Twitter followers, if you've got 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 Google Plus circlers, and then you go out to somebody else that's already got a large penetration, got a large market base, and say, hey, let's team up, I'll interview you, you interview me. That number drops from 1,500 all the way down to about 70 or 80 to 1. Now, from my older videos, you know for a fact that you literally only, if they're going to be really high relevance links, really credible links, and the most credible links you can get are those from your competitor. Yep, from your competitor. And so on the sidebar, why, the most common response I get from our clients when I say that is, why would a competitor link to me? I'm their competitor. There's a reason they will, and there's a reason they must. But you've got to pitch them the right way. You've got to frame it the right way, and that's a totally different video. If you want that video, sparkah.com/private, SPARKAH.com/private. How to get your competitors to link to you. Anybody else is lower relevance, right? Who's exactly like you? Who's in the best position to refer you? Well, someone who does exactly what you do. That's why you want a link from your competitor's website. Okay, so I diverged. Let me get back to where I was. Okay, so in order for you to get these high relevance websites to link to you, you've got to build up the clout. To do that, if the marketing company that you hire doesn't already have a large client base, doesn't already have a large subscriber base in your industry, they're going to have to take the time to build one for you. It's that simple. Chances are, if they're very good, they tend to be very good in niches. They tend to specialize. So whatever that specialty is, find out what they do. And then if not, if you still like them, and they're very good at what they do, then give them the time to make you credible, to build up your clout. To have us help you with that, talk to us at sparka.com/marketing, SPARKAH.com/marketing.